there. Welcome to SandCity Sports. Let's go around. Let's go around and see where we are at. Yes. Let's get our socials going on. All right. Let's see. Let's see. How we doing? How we doing on our socials? Very good. How we doing on the Okay, let's go manage. And then come on back to the channel. Very good. All right. So everybody, how's everybody doing out there? Welcome. SandCity Sports. Another episode. Your host is here, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King. We're back again to bring you all the sports and current events news stories that you need to know. How you doing out there, folks? You good? Okay. I was feeling a little bit tired. Okay. Not gonna lie to you, a little bit tired, but I had to go ahead and kick it into gear. You know who else was feeling tired tonight? The Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers were feeling a little bit tired. All right. They got boat raced by the Oklahoma City Thunders. Thunder. All right. Strength versus strength. OKC, the top team in the West. Okay. West. Cleveland Cavaliers, top team in the East. N.B.A. on TNT, marquee matchup. And I don't know what to tell you. You saw it, I saw it. Cleveland down by as many as 40. At times, lost by a respectable 20-something. But speaking of fatigue, man, and of course, Chet Holmgren, iHeart chilling on the bench, not even in uniform. Their premier's a little bit much, okay? But they're capable post players, not even in the game, right? And, man, OKC just clearly a cut above. Now, again, regular season, haven't even reached the All-Star break. You can say all of those things if you want. But Bill Parcells says that you are what your record says you are. And I believe Bill. All right. In Oklahoma City with only 6 losses after 40 games. What? Both teams 34-6. All right. Both teams with a 6-game lead in the standings. All right. Going for that home court advantage. Look, Oklahoma City, they're a band of brothers. You see the post-game interviewing Shea, whole squad has to be with him. And that's been consistent through last year, maybe even before that. This is a team of guys. Don't have to worry about egos. Don't have to worry about scuttlebutt. And this guy got $3 more, so I'm not talking to him and the things that are going on behind the scenes. Now, human beings are human beings. Locker room environment. Not to say that, there's some sort of utopia in OKC. All right, but there is a camaraderie and a charisma that's undeniable that translates specifically onto the court. I got a shout out the 30 for 30 classic, Once Brothers. Go ahead and check it out. Okay? 30 for 30, one of the best series, if you want to call it that, even though it's a collection of essentially documentaries out of this world. But go check out Once Brothers, featuring the late, great Drazen Petrovic and Vlade Divac and Tony Kukoc. I'm dating myself when I say these names. But go check it out. Learn something about, now I got the New York strong, okay, no doubt about this, but my New Jersey Nets, okay, Brooklyn, all right, well, we can acknowledge Brooklyn, you know what I mean? It's Brooklyn in the house, without a doubt. I'm the rapper with cloud that everybody yap about. Brooklyn is in the house, no doubt. But to me, that being born, that's the New Jersey Nets right there. All right. And Drazen Petrovic is one of the greatest Nets, bar none, of all time. All right. So go ahead and learn about Drazen Petrovic. I remember being in grammar school when he passed and not understanding the situation. I'm not going to go any further into it than that. But go check out Once Brothers. Okay, and that you go Slavia, you go Slavia. Okay, that collection, that team. Okay, and then right conflict, decline of the Soviet Empire, and sports mirrors life. And when there's difficulty and tragedy and trauma in our lives, right? We can't just go into the dream world of sports and expect everything to, dissipate. No. Okay, it's linear. It's one thing. All right, and I bring up Once Brothers because, as I said, the Oklahoma City Thunder are a band of brothers. Legitimately. They have in year two, but a guy like Drew Holiday, when he come in, playing with all-stars and Hall of Fame players, was there any bumps in the road? No, because Drew Holiday has, I saw this today, John Shire and what Duke is doing, and gonna be interesting. Young Cooper and others. John Shire has the boys playing, the right way. He said the team needs three types of energies. A team needs three types of energy: collective energy, competitive energy, team first energy. Make sure I got that right. I don't want to get right. Collective and team first might be, but three types of energy. You see what I'm saying? We gotta have the competitiveness. We got to be team first. All right, and Oklahoma City has it, and they're playing an efficient. All right, you saw the game. Okay, they're scheming these open shots. They're knocking down these open shots. They're defending, and they're not even healthy. Okay, remind me of the Detroit Lions. So yeah, I'm in the Commonwealth here in Boston. We don't want to, and it's not. It's going to be, to repeat will be more difficult than to get that first ring, and that's always a factor because you've had success and now you have to integrate it. Working at the youth and the high school level. Okay, you're a good athlete. Okay, freshman, sophomore, you're kind of unknown, but you play well. You get some notoriety. Now, how do you handle that as a junior and a senior? Right, everyone's calling you up and hyping you up. Before you had the anonymity. Now you have to deal with all that social stuff. And can you maintain the same hunger, the same Mamba mentality, the same eye of the tiger when the good times have started to roll? So that's the Boston Celtics. Championship, historic, efficient, together, talented. Celtics have not raced out of the gates. Celtics are pacing, which means the road come. Not going to have that home court advantage, that Boston parquet floor. No, won't be there. It's either going through Cleveland, possibly NYC if my Knicks will get their act together. But should they be the representatives of the Eastern Conference? Okay. Now, who knows? Right? I'm getting way. Who's this guy? Who's, what I mean? We're in January and he's already predicting the N.B.A. finals. Okay. He hasn't been paying attention when Miami Heat as an 8th seed got to the final round. No. Can't say what it's going to be. Don't have a crystal ball. But will definitively recognize these inflection points in the season. Whereas, whether you want to admit it or not, the fear factor has been diminished, is being diminished. For a team, i.e. Boston, that has dynastic capabilities, yes, I said it. Denver's window open and shut quickly. They look like a matchup with the Celtics was a given, a high probability, a great likelihood. But Minnesota, specifically in the fourth quarter, thought otherwise, right? Boston, more talented, even though Denver, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., all right, Murray, Jokic, nothing to sneeze at. But you can't look me in the face and tell me that's better than Holiday and White in the backcourt. Now, granted, but still, Jamal Murray, can score, stuff like that. But Jrue Holiday, clank, clank, no. Lock him down. And back him down. And Derek White, looking like an all-star. In fairness, the Celtics should have 4 all-stars. They should, because Jrue Holiday is an all-star. In the same way that Draymond Green is an all-star, averaging less than 15 points. But player efficiency, plus minus, all-star. So, right, Murray and Christian Braun versus Holiday and White, advantage Celtics. Porter, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, obviously the Jays, advantage Celtics, and then Nikola at the center, advantage Denver Nuggets. Mike Malone, capable coach, dare I say elite, huge Mike Malone fan. Love how he took up for Mike Brown. Keeps it 100. Their offense is fluid and dynamic. Right? So the Celtics, I'm just saying, was looking, come in the season as the favorites. They just have this, never mind they shoot a bunch of threes. Everybody shoots a bunch of threes, but they can win in so many different ways. They can come at you, all right, all of these versatile players, 1 through 4. And you can throw in Crispy P at the center as well. 7'3" guy. Yes, he rebounds. Yes, he blocks shots. All right, and yes, he sprays way beyond the 3-point line. So 5 guys that are just incredibly versatile. All right. Oklahoma City, nowhere near the star power. But don't sleep. We can't sleep. Just because you're not familiar with J-Dub. Just because they got 3-4 Jalen Williams and Jason Williams and, Williams brothers. All right, and young guys that you're not sure about, i.e. Holmgren. And emerging superstars who you're much more sure about, i.e. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And they have the genius in the front office, Mr. Sam Presti, who's just sitting back chilling. He hasn't had to really extend himself. And, Giddey was there, and Giddey had to come off the bench. And Kassan Wallace, shout out to Coach K, shout out to, you know what I mean? EYBL and Kassan Wallace has just come right. And Coach K, right? That's just another. Coach Cal. I said Coach K. Coach Cal was what I meant. I apologize. How do folks go to Coach Calipari for that 1 year refinement and then get into the N.B.A. and their game translates immediately? Okay, there's no comparison between Coach Cal and Coach K in terms of NBA development currently. None. You want to go all time in Grant Hill versus Jamal Mashburn? Fine. But since 2000, forget about it. Okay? Tyler Hero, Jamal Murray, Gilgeous-Alexander, quickly. These are all mid first round, maybe top 10, perennial all-stars. Tyler Hero, fringe all-star. Murray, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, okay? Perennial all-stars. All right? And just, so Cal, yes, indeed. That was the Gilgeous-Alexander connection over to OKC. Look, let's. I mean, we gotta touch on a number of things. Bill Belichick still hasn't signed a contract. Tom Brady going back to Fox. Okay, we got to touch on some things here. Okay, but 9-1 in the last 10 for OKC, 8-2 for Cleveland. Cleveland winning by 10, OKC winning by 13 a night. Young Lions, folks. Young Lions on the prowl. Called out the Celtics. Let it be known. All right, they Cleveland. My Knicks are not gonna. Indy's looking good. Right? Orlando's not even healthy. Atlanta under Quinn Snyder. Then you got your upstart teams. You know, Miami's going through some drama right now, but playoffs, you're afraid of Spoelstra. Playoffs, you know, you're going to fear Rick Carlisle. Even though there might be a 7 seed, might be in a play-in, you know, 6 seed, whatever. You know, you don't want to, what do they say in rounders? You don't want to butt bunions. You don't want to butt bunions with those guys. You don't in the playoffs. So beyond the big three as I have it, and, you know, we ain't even going to discuss Philadelphia because Philadelphia is Cooper Flag on 3. So now we're not even discussing Philadelphia. I'm saying the top of the East, the midsection of the East. Let me see. Did I miss anybody? Bulls, Detroit, no, but good stories. Brooklyn, Toronto, no. We obviously know Charlotte and Washington. All right, but you got yourself 1 through 8. Miami, Atlanta, Indy. Okay, off the strength of leadership. Spoelstra, Snyder, Carlisle. Basketball people know. And then teams that are just coming into form. And the Magic are one of those teams. Yes. Made the playoffs for the first time in forever last year. Going to be a different story with them in the playoffs this year. They're going to be a tough out. All right. And the Pacers haven't broken through last year. Tough out. And again, I have to say, Milwaukee Bucks, I discounted them, are chilling at the 4 seed. With all that experience, right? Doc has gotten through to them. Who knows what next year is going to bring? But as far as this journey is concerned, Milwaukee Bucks have reasserted themselves. All right. Now, again, I think they blow it up after this year. But they're playing winning basketball. I was saying there's going to be something at the deadline. Am I backing completely off of that? No. No, I won't do that. But that they're ahead of other teams that seem to be ascending, whereas the Bucks, they have Giannis and Dame. My point is they're showing me some continuity. They're showing me some buy-in. Whether they love it in freezing cold Milwaukee or not, they're making it work. And it seems like that's going to be the case through the end of the season. So they will go into the playoffs, not being a favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but a significantly tough out that has the experience that if you Cavaliers, if you Celtics, my New York Knicks especially, mess around and have to match up against the Bucks, and you don't put that foot down and go up 2-0 and let it be known that their time is done, you get in a dogfight with the Milwaukee Bucks team when the series is tied 2-2, and Dame start to get comfortable and Giannis start to get cooking. Well, Cavaliers, Celtics, Knicks, I know what to tell you, especially my New York Knicks, don't let it happen. I won't stand for this. But the Bucks are what do they call that? They're lurking. Milwaukee is lurking. All right, let's go west. Games going on right now. N.B.A. on TNT. Love it. Thrilled that that's continuing on, going over to ESPN as, N.B.A. shifts gears. So we're going to have the NBA on TNT inside the we're not going to have the NBA on TNT. We're going to have inside the NBA in perpetuity. Love that. Rockets and Grizzlies got into a battle royale. Rockets came back. Grizzlies had the game in hand. Denver 1 game behind. Clippers won. Again, the Clippers. Come on now. And the Lakers, shout out to J.J. Redick, out of the play-in tournament in the top 6. Clippers is, I can't, that's just institutional strength for them. They have Paul George is doing the same thing in Philly, being injured and inconsistent. Right, because we know that Embiid's been out, but Maxey and Paul George. Now, there's been some injuries, but you can't count on Embiid for any more than 65 max, and then probably closer to 50. Probably closer to 50 with his injury history. But in theory, Maxey and Paul George could be cooking up the East right now. In theory. But George, you are what your record says you are. It is what it is. You understand? But the Clippers, they just, I you understand? Kawhi, you got to have payroll. You got to pay your stars. I get that to a certain extent, but my issue with Kawhi, you can't trade him. So he gets his money because, but you can't move him, even on a 1-year basis. Right? Why would I trade for Kawhi to go championship chasing when Kawhi has not played in the playoffs since he was in Toronto? That's facts, folks. Kawhi Leonard has not made a playoff run, been there consistent in the playoffs since he left the North. So from the Clipper standpoint, and again, Bomber, Lawrence Frank, the front office, and I'm going to get to the coach, but Sean Fine, Pride of Barnstable, player development, and of course, Ty Lue. For all that institutional strength, get rid of Kawhi and use that money for somebody who's going to actually show up and be there. I love the fact that they don't tank. But switch out Kawhi. Let's take a look in the West. Switch out Kawhi, and insert a Brandon Ingram. Don't want anything to do with Giannis. Sorry. Insert a Lauri Markkanen. What are the Jazz doing? Tanking for Cooper? Right? Imagine Lauri Markkanen on the Clippers. Give them a dude that's just going to play and ball. They don't really need De'Aaron Fox, even though he's, poking his lip out. They don't need Fox because they obviously have getting the best out of Harden. So, no. That's my point. Okay? And let me give JJ some credit. Let me give JJ that credit once again. Lakers, started fast, went down, and now they've stabilized the ship. So the West is OKC against the field. And the field, these young Lions, Memphis, again, it's intriguing to me. The Rockets, new Jacks, new kids on the block. Denver holding on. I got it in that first 4. The Suns have just lost. They started good, then the injuries and whatnot, and the drama, Brad Beal. So here's a question. Right? Because the Suns are going nowhere fast, unfortunately. I expected the Suns to be with Coach Bud where the Lakers are, frankly. Coach Bud knowing offense, them having bucket getters, certified. Phoenix, okay, with the big 3 and some others. I like Nurkic. I like Grayson Allen, even though I would never like to play against him. He's a physical player, if you want to say it that way. But they have, Tyus Jones, point. They have their roster is more balanced than it was last year. They didn't have a point guard, which is bananas. Okay, and of course they're gonna rest. Bradley Beal's never healthy. Durant needs his rest. He's getting up there. Booker should be more consistent. He should play. If Booker don't need no load management. But again, a team with those 3 stars and reserve players are how many games behind the Clippers? Okay, about 3. I'm being the West. All right, only 3 games behind the Clippers. You don't really see the drop off until you get to Portland, Utah, and the Pelicans. So all right, only 3 games, and they're essentially tied for the 9 and 10 spot. 1 game behind the 7 spot. So all right, let me stop beating the Phoenix down. They're right. They're close. They're close and dangerous. close and dangerous. Okay, so you got a log jam in the West. Really, the top 15 teams, right? Are top 14 teams are close, or how should I say, in proximity. You go from there's a big 8 games is a lot, but Memphis but 5 games is not that much. So from the Spurs at 12 to the Memphis at 3, talking about 5 games in the loss column. So that's the traditional West that you like to see, ultra competitive, with a clear king, with a clear ruler, and that being that doggone Oklahoma City Thunder, making OKC jump off. You gotta, you out there in Tumbleweed Town, and people are going bonkers. Shout out to the late great David Stern, who had the vision, who thought an NBA team could be successful in Oklahoma City. All right, shout out to the Seattle Supersonics. We need them back. Build a new stadium, doggone it. Seattle wouldn't build a stadium and lost out to Oklahoma City. It's craziness. All right, NBA is about to expand, and woo, folks, I have to touch on it because the reports with Maverick Carter. Going to get to that in 1 second because that needs to be discussed. All right, but speaking again of NBA expansion, and then just NBA history. Okay, NBA history. It's that unfortunate we had to lose the Supersonics, but Oklahoma City has paid off in spades. Has paid off in spades. Will Seattle, has Seattle learned? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Are they hungering to get back into the league? My sense is telling me there's going to be an NBA team in Las Vegas and there's going to be an NBA team in Mexico City. So my sense is telling me. And the Supersonics might have missed their window. So that's what I'm sensing or feeling. And again, Mexico City, right? Huge. Millions upon millions of people. Market-wise, there's no comparison to Seattle. All right, and Las Vegas, is sports-centric city. All right, now, quick. Now, I know about quick. We'll talk about it as long as we need to talk about it. Again, SandCity Sports, holla at your boy. Don't see folks as much, but it is what it is. It is late. It is during the week. This is the time that we have to get at you. So the Passion Project moves on, as I've said, and will continue to say. Long days, busy days. You make time for the Passion Project. You do. Okay, power nap here, power nap there. I know it's 3-day weekend, but it's going to be a weekend on, not a weekend off for many of us. A lot going on. Transfer of power next week. So it is a lot, but okay, we have to do what we have to do, and then we have to do what we love to do. That's what it is. So here we are, right? And so the NBA, right? Just giving you, talked about the rulers, the Cavs, OKC, talked about, them that's right there, the Celtics, okay, the Knicks, Milwaukee, in the West, the Memphis, Houston, Denver, and then all those. So but folks, reporting that Maverick Carter, who is obviously LeBron James' subordinate, homeboy, subordinate, business mogul. Subordinate's kind of that's not. I'm backing off that. Maverick Carter is not a subordinate. Maverick Carter has skills. That's too far. I'm backing off of that wording because words, of course, matter. And shout out to Maverick Carter. Now I saw LeBron, on the Kelsey Brothers podcast. Shout out to the Kelsey Brothers doing it. Talking about. Go ahead and check out Soul Man, another ESPN 30 for 30 classic. Check out Soul Man. But he's talking about you coming out of high school and the bidding war for his services and how I think it was Reebok that offered him $10 million, which was for a high school kid. My goodness. Now, obviously, Nike was $90 million, I believe, and Adidas, who he favored through Sonny Vaccaro, lowballed LeBron and what's happened with them. Okay, again, Sonny Vaccaro, check out Soul Man, right? when Nike came, okay, we're trying to get in, we're in the shoe business and we need to get into basketball, and we're gonna spend this amount of money on, Hakeem Olajuwon's gonna get some money and Charles Barkley's gonna get some money and maybe Karl Malone can get some money and then Michael Jordan, you're gonna spread the money out all together and Sonny Ricardo's like, you're gonna do none of that. You're taking all that money and you're giving it to Michael Jordan. That's what Nike was not committed to Michael Jordan. Was not. No. So yeah, check out Soul Man. All right, and it's only you're taking all of that money and you're giving it to Michael Jordan. All right, and then when David Stern said no, we can't have the black and red. It was in Chicago. We're gonna fine you. Nike said, this is the greatest media campaign. Fine us every single game. We will pay it happily. They run that media, banned. Sales went bananas. So, Soul Man, Maverick Carter. We're back on track, folks. Look, and Maverick is, he's not Sonny Vaccaro. I'm not going to put him there, please. He's okay, but my point with Maverick Carter and why there needs to be a tremendous amount, I'll never say the word subordinate and Maverick Carter in the same paragraph because LeBron James is a billionaire. 20 years in the league and still going and, passion. He's a billionaire. He is a business mogul. He is a cultural force. What percentage of NBA players end up broke 5 years after retirement, folks? We done talked about this. 60 to 70%. Okay? 60 to 70% of NBA players. All right, and so in terms of the agree or disagree with LeBron, he has the right people around him, and they're continuing to make power moves. Never mind NIL, right? Where did NIL originate? On the shop with Governor Gavin Newsom. Check it out. And speaking of which, we got to talk about, and I'll just go from one to the next because NCAA has said Title IX applies to, these monies, NIL and these collectives, that Title IX is going to play a factor. So that, how that, adjudicates itself. We're going to get into that. But we have to, where am I going with this? So, Maverick Carter is saying, that he wants to back an international league to be a rival to the N.B.A. Say what? It's going to have 6 guys teams, 6 women's teams to start, and it's going to be this international league like the, European Cup. And what? First of all, just fascinating, right? Again, looking, because a lot of the talk had been about, Maverick and LeBron owning an NBA team, i.e. Michael Jordan, even though it didn't work out in Charlotte, but owning an NBA team, such as the new team that's going to be going in Las Vegas. That's been a lot of the talk. Now, is Maverick putting this, because let's just kind of be clear. You don't start a league, overnight. Never mind when you have an established juggernaut that's just sitting there. This is different than the N.B.A. and the A.B.A. And by the way, the N.B.A. was given quite a run by the A.B.A. Go ahead and check out Free Spirits, another 30 for 30 gold. That's when I learned what the word perpetuity meant. In spirit and in perpetuity. That means ad infinitum. Check it out, Free Spirits. All right, so the ABA, and the N.B.A. was kind of fledgling and didn't have an identity, frankly, and David Stern was not the commissioner to write a lot of things. ABA getting, David Stern was the chief lawyer, and they needed him to make that deal. Go ahead and check out 30 for 30. But it was nip and tuck, right? 3-point line, that's ABA. Just a number of the players, Dr. J, it was, mano y mano, and that's, before the two leagues merged. NBA was all right, but the ABA was on them. Okay, so that's not anywhere near in the conversation of this, because the NBA, is just, this conglomerate. I don't even know. It's just massive. this massive entity, and now you're talking about starting something from scratch, right? This reminds me of a couple years ago. The people were upset about soccer, and they were going to form this, ultra soccer league, which with all the top teams, and it got like 2 days of traction, and then just collapsed. All right, so folks, let me just get to what I'm saying, uh, along with the other things that I've said. Okay, the reason that this is just a shot across the bow and is not something, you know, unless of course, and even if theoretically LeBron just leaves the NBA, which he's not going to do because that's going to take away from who he is and how he's able to have the influence and the power. Um, and started this, and David versus Goliath, literally situation, and so on and forth, folks. Adam Silver and David Stern form no dummies, right? They have agreements with these stadiums that you can only do business. If you want to do business with the NBA, you're only doing business with the NBA. Period. That's in the contract. So the NBA plays in a stadium that is an N.B.A. stadium. Okay. Again, having gone through the ABA merger, right? They're seeing this, in advance and not wanting it to happen again. So for starters, okay, the reason that a league, and again, I credit LeBron with rival, strong wording, pushing yourself to the top of the news cycle to stir this conversation, to get eyes and engagement. Who knows what LeBron is actually getting at? Maybe, there's, issues with his, the team in Las Vegas, which he's certainly eyeing, or situation, with the Lakers. Who knows what he's actually getting at? But it's not a league to rival the NBA. And that word is as bad as subordinate was in reference to Maverick Carter that I just utilized. So is the word rival when it comes to this theoretical league LeBron is talking about and the NBA as constituted. The word rival is just as ridiculous as the word subordinate for Maverick Carter in relation to LeBron James. Ridiculous. For any number of reasons, but just, top of the line, there was no place for them to play. None. Unless they want to come down to the Cape and play in one of our gyms, total of, 1,500 people, max. There's no stadiums available. This country, NBA goes and does all of this, NBA cares and their globalization, right? Again, the late, great David Stern. And when the NBA does these things and they play it like they're, not only are we ingraining ourselves in these emerging markets, but no way, shape, or form is any other league going to erase or marginalize these efforts. No, we're, and Adam Silver has a background in law. David Stern had a background in law. Okay, so they're quite well versed, all right, in these types of conversations. Okay, but an interesting, that being said, intriguing, engaging, most certainly. Okay, what Maverick is put out there, and where exactly, he's, that fascinating is not an overstatement, because I'm just wondering, like, Maverick, what are you getting at? Like, what's, the CBA is signed, there's not going to be labor disputes there. LeBron, I mean, nobody's, NBA, you want to talk about player empowerment? You want to talk about players and owners being partners? The NBA wants LeBron to own a team. Okay, now it's a little bit different, because as the NBA's value has, everybody wants an NBA team now. Steve Ballmer, richest owner of Team Sports, he wanted it. So that might be, I think that might be where this is. You have some, because LeBron is rich, as Chris Rock told us. He's not wealthy. He's rich. He has $1 billion, not tens and hundreds of billions of dollars, right? And those people with tens of billions of dollars are interested in sports. Shout out to Jeff Bezos and Amazon Prime. Very interested. Because, of course, you don't become a billionaire without understanding markets and consumption. They're looking for us, to have our consent manufactured. Shout out to Noam Chomsky. Shout out to Goodwill Hunting, right? Right. That's up here. I'm going to manufacture your consent. You're going to thank me for having. You're going to thank me for me creating a situation where you do what benefits me. Right? Shout out to Junior Soprano and you know what I mean? The Sopranos, a flashback. Talking about the executive game. Season 2, Happy Wanderers. Shout out to David Chase, legend. Happy Wanderers, right? We were talking one day about the credit cards, how they work their angle. All right? They juice you to death, and you thank them for having a card. People pay all, people rather be juiced than pay all at once. It's a certain type of player. That's why we call it the executive game. Oh, Uncle Junior spitting some wisdom right there. Right? So that might be, you know what I mean? That's kind of LeBron wants a team, feels he's in line for a team, but Adam Silver is just getting these offers that are just bananas. Like nobody was fighting. There was no battle royale to own the Charlotte Hornets, before MJ and MJ, had the teams from Charlotte, but he was, he's a businessman. Now he could, he wanted to be too hands-on, and instead of letting his basketball people do what they needed to do, sometimes we make those mistakes. Nothing wrong with being hands-on either, but you got to, you know what I mean? LeBron, like MJ was on the bench. MJ was like there, sitting at the end of the bench. But the point beyond that is, it's just changed in terms of so many people wanted to live sports, N.B.A, NFL, everybody wants in. Okay, and so LeBron is the favorite son, but he's, how it gets worked out. I think, like Michael Jordan had control of the Charlotte Hornets. If LeBron James becomes an owner, will he be able to have control? Okay, in this new framework, of ownership and fixation on sports. There's always been a fixation on sports going back to the Coliseum. That's not, but these sports leagues and their profitability have gone into a different strata, no doubt. No doubt about that. I had a connecting point. I want to touch on the NIL, which I will. LeBron, monies escapes me. It might come back to me. Let's go over to NIL, folks. All right, and then we're not gonna, we got about 43. We're gonna do about an hour, maybe an hour and change. All right, again, SandCity Sports, your host, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King, and we are here giving you the sports and current events news stories that you need to know. That's what we're doing, folks. All right, and we done 43 minutes. It's a weeknight, you know what I mean. So another night we would go 2 hours on this because there's too much to talk about. I haven't even started with the NFL and the Super Bowl. We got 3 straight weeks of Super Bowls, folks. 3 straight weeks of Super Bowl games. The Super Bowl this year might be an afterthought. I said it. Because we got Be More and Be Low. Be More and Be Low are going at it this week. And this is a Super Bowl matchup. Don't care what nobody says. Then the winner most likely is going to Kansas City. Another Super Bowl matchup. And then the Super Bowl itself. And the NFC, man, Rams, laid hands on the Vikings. They're going into Philly. Philly ran them over the first game, over 200 yards rushing for Saquon. But Sean McVay, what Spoelstra is to the N.B.A, McVay is to the NFL. Yep. He did the boy wonder when it comes to the coaching. Don't care. Boy wonder. Okay, team that won 14 games. Looked like, had no business being in a game. Okay, can't name beyond Matt Stafford who the heck plays for the doggone Lions. Excuse me, the Rams. Since Aaron Donald retired, people can't name more than three. Darnold, Cup, Stratford, Cooper Cup, and others. I have no idea who's on that team. Right? And then the Lions, all right, our Detroit Lions. Yes, indeed. Matching up against the Commanders. So some good. So yes. So we have to discuss football, and we will. But I wanted this NIL is interesting, folks. Very much so. It's the Department of Education now. Speaking of, we're going to keep it on. We're going to keep it, but there's change. Let's just mark this moment, folks. Let me give a high five to everybody out there. Let me give a high five from me to you. Don't care what your political affiliation is. High five from me to you right now. Let's get this on the record. All right, you respect me, I respect you. You voted how you voted, I voted how I voted. It is what it is. But we, as meaning Americans, have to disagree agreeably. We have to be civil. Let it start with me. Have to be civil. Okay? We have to be civil. And there's a lot of changes coming next week. A lot of changes. And that's not just, we're hearing about 100 executive orders on day one. 100. Hundo. On now, again, the lawyers and how these, you say one thing, but how it goes through the system of government, our checks and balances. And I'm getting back to sports. I am getting back to sports. But there's another thing. But let's give another high five, folks. We gotta, we need to be civil. We need to disagree agreeably as best as possible. Now, I bring that up because the Department of Education is the governing body. The Department of Education, under the umbrella of the federal government, made the ruling that these monies that are going to the university, these collectives, these NIL monies, need to be equally allocated between men and women based on the population, right? So if you have a football team, you have to have a field hockey team. You have, this. If women have numbers for participation in a sport, then you need to fund that sport equally. Okay, Title IX is awesome in terms of, the opportunities that it has provided, but it's, NIL is not. It's different. It's in a gray area, right? The NIL is the boosters cobbling together this money to give to the players so that they can be competitive. It's the alumni, and charitable folks, however you want to call it. NIL is not the university president. Okay, but in theory, right? That's fascinating. You're right. So this is for the money that you have. It has to be equally divided. That's fascinating because, like anything else, you got to butter your bread. Brother official told me that, you got to butter your bread like anything else. Okay? And the NIL monies are going to the revenue generators, i.e. football and whatever else you have at that school. You have a basketball school, you're a baseball school, are you a volleyball school, i.e. Nebraska. Okay? Like what's our sport? And that's where the money, it doesn't necessarily, it goes where the attention and the interests are. So that's, to say, okay, you're going to have, because you NIL, if you want to spend it, like if I'm from Bama, I'm spending like $50 million minimum, like easy on the football team. So now you're going to say I have to raise $50 million in NIL for the women's sports? Um, okay, I'm here for it. How, like, which, because certain, you see what I'm saying? Uh, like, there's nothing bigger than football at Alabama, even though Nate Oates has done a great job with the basketball team. Final Four, so on and forth. Shout out to Nate Oates, a Danny Hurley assistant, a high school coach that Danny Hurley spotted and was just like, this guy's got the right stuff, and the rest is history. Those two teams, it was cool. UConn and Bama in the Final Four last year. That was super cool. Shout out to Stephon Castle, UConn, N.B.A. ready to start, amongst others. Danny Hurley, the Miracle St. Anthony's, love it. Okay, right? So it's going to be interesting, the theory behind it. All right, so we had Title IX then, we're going to have Title IX now, but NIL is a whole nother ball of wax. Okay, NIL is the boosters. It's not the state of Alabama saying we're going to give all these guys scholarships, and that's going to be the equation. All right, so we have 60 scholarships for football. It's just a big sport, so we'll give 60 scholarships on the women's side. Maybe between two sports to balance it out. The NIL, is just large sums of money dedicated to prominent sports at a school. Okay, they're giving the money to the things that they're giving it to the school to give to the things that they care about. Like, this money is allocated for this particular passion of mine, right? So that now to say, okay, but you're giving us this money for this, but we have to spend it on that. Well, that's different. From if I'm giving the money, I might like that, but that's not where I want to invest. I'm gung ho about investing here, not for you to divvy that up and bring it over there. All right. And again, we have these conversations, social contract, taxes, so on and forth in the broader conversation. Okay. So that is something that we are going to continue to take a look at, folks. Let me just come on over. All right. And so we're going to go, we're going to the NFL. We're gonna do an hour, no doubt about it, tonight. A minimum of an hour. If it was another night, Cape Cod Kid would be back with you for, so that's that kind of gets my goat a little bit, right? Honestly, when I think about, you shouldn't have to restrict your passion project. You shouldn't have to put the dreams on the refrigerator where they collect dust and never come to fruition, right? What did Thoreau said? We live in lives of quiet desperation. Right? We live in lives of quiet desperation, and most men live lives of quiet desperation and die with the song still inside of them. Okay, we can't have that. We have to express that song as best as possible. So that's but it is what it is. You also got to get the hours of sleep that you need to get back at it on a Friday. So you know what I mean? That's the work life balance. It's a beautiful thing. Glad to be in here with you, but that's always, you know what I mean? But hey, tonight is gonna be what it's gonna be, but you always say, okay, I gotta be more organized so I can flow like I need to flow. And what I gotta be more organized so I can flow like I gotta flow. All right, folks, to the NFL. Look, I gave my Tom Brady takes previous. I said with no hesitation, his interest is Tom Brady wants to play. If he's able to play, he wants to play. And in the pillowcase NFL, he can play. He can play one season more. Yes. Gets in shape. You can't hit him. He's got a quick release. He loves the competition and just being out there. He's going to pick his coach. He can play. Now, he's 47. Gordie Howe in the old school NHL, no helmets, was out there playing at 50. Battling dudes. Old man strength. And what? Okay? By the way, that's a real thing. That old man strength. That's a real, even though I'm getting old, I don't have it, but that's a real thing. Okay, the young kids, that pump the iron and saying, swole. There's old man strength out there. Just believe you me. It's a real thing. All right. Um, so there's, you know, Tom Lee's eight. It's Tom Lee's. Tom Brady's agent, whose last name is Yee. First name escapes me right now. Don Yee has come out and said, that he's committed to the Fox deal and he's going to stay in broadcasting. All right, so that changes everything. Obviously, you can't play in a game that you're broadcasting. All right, but for me, when he said, I'm giving up $300 million. I'm giving up $300 million and focusing solely on being an executive. That didn't sit right with me. No, Tom Brady's not determined to be the next Jerry West and sit in the box and look, successful. And the camera pans to him every so often, and he waves and he goes back to just scheming how they can win it. That's not Tom Brady. Right, and actually, people get to that. They start Jerry West started as a scout, then he coached. He moved his way up into the into the administration, but he was still, coming out for playing. I still want to be connected to the court, right? So with Tom Brady now being at Fox, it just doesn't work out. So, all right. But along with that, Bill Belichick has not signed his contract with North Carolina. So that's wild. And you say to yourself, why did it take that long? Did Antonio Pierce, you end up getting rid of him ultimately, but was he ever really your guy? And would that's kind of interesting to me because Mark Davis would know if Pierce wasn't his guy, and then you would put the subliminals out to Bill Belichick then, right? While the season is still going on, like this, subliminals have been put out to Mike Vrabel probably at the midway point of the year. Okay, and by the time you got to the home stretch, it was just a foregone conclusion. And then when you win the unwinnable game, then it's just a affirmative fact, right? But that's where this Bill Belichick angle with the Raiders is kind of, I don't know, maybe Belichick, obviously he's forceful and assertive, and he wanted to know, by this date, and the Raiders just couldn't give. So Bill's like, I'm out. And the Raiders like, we can't, that might have been how it happened. It seems a little bit more like, Bill's going to negotiate, like Bill, and have his demands. Maybe that's why he didn't get the job in the first go round. So you would think now the opportunity, that he would kind of back off some of those demands and just kind of be, more go along, get along. But something to kind of look out for, right? Brady's going back to the broadcast booth for good. Belichick's still out there as a possible coach for the Raiders. And then he gets to return to the NFL and do what he wanted to do all along, which is chase Shula's all-time coaching record. Okay, and to conclude, folks, it pains me that an MVP is going home this weekend. It pains me very much. Very, very much. I can't even really, is Buffalo going home? I don't know. I honestly, I can't pick this game. Because I'm already angry that Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson on Monday is going to be in Cancun. I'm angry about that. Like, infuriating. Much would have rather this to have been an AFC Championship game, but they wouldn't allow it. They let Kansas City squeak out one win after another. They let Andy Reid have his master plan executed, at least in phase one. And so Lamar, Josh, and I can't and I won't pick this game because, start the year I was Ravens. But how Buffalo has done less with more It's getting late, but I don't care. Has done more with less. I got a lot of respect for them. Just same way that I root for Dan Campbell. My heart is with the Eagles, being born in the great state of New Jersey, having family in Philly. But I'm rocking. I rock with what's going on in Detroit. I rock with Josh Allen and how he has balled out this year, and they have, right? You get rid of a Pro Bowl top 5 wide receiver, who kicked up a little dirt, kicked up a little dust, but then you're better with your continuity overall. So I won't pick that game because I'm furious that there has to be a loser in one of these franchises, and great's too much, but awesome quarterbacks is going to be chilling. All right, and the Rockets and the Sacramento, we're going to have to continue this on, folks. Rockets and Sacramento are woo! Sacktown up 1, going to the free throw line. Is that DeMar? Is that DeMar DeRozan? Sacktown up 2. Can't see him. Hold on, I can't see. No, Malik Monk. It's crazy they got rid of Mike Brown. Monk 2 for 2. We got a 3-point game. Timeout coming at you. Rockets with a chance to tie the ball game up. Kings, as angry as I am about Mike Brown, Christie's come in and they've been balling. They've been balling. Let's get you the specific number. 7-3 in the last 10. They're getting it done. They are getting it done. NFL playoffs. Eagles and Rams. Sean McVay, I can't let you do this. I can't let it happen. My Eagles are going to pull it out. Commanders, good story. All right. Detroit, lay hands on them. Okay, heavy hands. Put it on them. So that's, Detroit, Eagles. Kansas City, handle Houston. And then, there might be tears for the next episode based on Allen or Jackson having to go home. But Kansas City's going to play the winner of that. And I favor the winner of the Ravens-Bills game to go to the Super Bowl. Okay, I don't care that DeAndre Hopkins. Well, I do care. I do care he's playing for the Chiefs. But I'm going with my heart over my head. I'm going with the heart. I'm not thinking about the home field advantage. I'm saying the winner of the Ravens-Bills game is going to the Super Bowl. I won't say, Jalen Green missed it. Kings in control. That is what I am. That is what I am saying. Okay, and hey, we're going to see. We're going to have to get back at you. It's a busy weekend. It's a weekend on, not a weekend off. We're going to have to, because we got, and I haven't even talked about the Hoop Hall Classic. The best and the brightest, the best young athletes, AJ DeBance, are going to be returning to the Commonwealth for the Hoops Hall Classic out in Springfield, coming into the brick weather. So we got a lot. We got a lot that we're getting to. But I refuse on Ravens Bills. I refuse to give you anything. Okay? Don't cry, dry your eye. I'm upset that one of these guys is going home. All right, folks. I am your host, Cape Cod Kid. Artist phone is Andre King. Thank you so much for tuning in to SandCity Sports. New York Knicks, get it right. Don't mess around. We're going to see you again the next time. Peace.